Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George, and you're listening to our review of Solo, Star Wars Story, with the boys Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hi, George. You always start recording when I'm mid-yawn.
Yeah.
Well, as in last week.
I did the epic of all yawns as I'm meant to be saying something.
So guys, I think we've been talking about this film for a very, very long time. And we've been through all the trials and tribulations, directors coming and going, and now we finally have seen this film. Connor, would you like to give us a little bit of a plot before we go into our first impressions?
Yeah,
Brain fart.
this is plot. Again, I don't want to give too much away. I think you should go into this as fresh as you can go into.
Like never see a Star Wars
movie.
This should be the first one.
If there's any movie that I suggest you do that with, it's probably this one. Yeah, it's a heist film with a young Han Solo. It's how he comes to meet Lando and Chewie, and how he gets the Falcon, and just kind of a
origin story.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
You sound so enthusiastic, man.
Yeah, man. I've
delivering that.
I've said from the very beginning, and this kind of speaks to, we usually start by saying how we approach this film and how we feel about, I guess, Star Wars in general. From the very, very first moments that this film was announced, I was very much against it. I didn't want to see a young Han. I thought that was a bad idea. I thought that it was going to be just ridden with nostalgia, or things that played on nostalgia.
We have hours of skepticism recorded about this movie.
Yeah, just go back through
pretty
much any podcast we talk about Star Wars, which is every single one, and you'll find me at some point being like, fuck this movie. I haven't even seen it yet, but I hated it.
This is one of the most talking we've done about a single movie probably on the pod.
Probably.
The timeline matches up pretty well with how long we've been doing this.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably.
This has been in the works for just over a year, and we've been recording for probably just over a year now. So the one saving grace for this film when it first was announced was the directors that were attached.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Of
the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street.
Both films that I really enjoyed.
Movies that shouldn't have worked.
Yeah, exactly. And they have a very unique style, and they have a very cool take on films. And I was really excited to see that injected into a Star Wars film, because, if there was anything that was going to make this film good, it was going to be the fact that it's different. If it's a Star Wars story, make it a Star Wars story. Don't make it feel like one of the episodes. Make it feel different.
But no, Kathleen Kennedy said.
Yeah.
No, you
shall
cannot
not have your fun.
This thing that you want.
Shall not pass.
When she's 90% done, or when they're 90% done filming the bloody thing.
Was it 4 weeks left?
3 weeks. 3 weeks left of, I think, a 6-month shoot.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, so it was crazy. Like I was gobsmacked by the idea that they had fired the directors. Was
so late in the game.
So late in the game.
And then who do they bring in to replace these young visionaries? These new kids on the block.
Ron fucking Howard
from Happy Days.
Oh, come on, you got to give him a bit more fucking
No,
credit.
that's all he's ever done.
Punch in the gut. Can you imagine
fucking Happy Days? Shit.
Can you imagine if we just took one of your
brutal.
accomplishments in life, but not any of the good ones, just like
something I did in kindergarten.
Yeah.
That's what he's known for. This picture of a cat.
You'd be pissed.
Not a bad director. He has his ups and downs. He's done some good movies, but certainly a safer, more vanilla director.
Yeah, and one that would, definitely toe the line and is not going to do anything to upset the status quo.
Not the kind of guy people are throwing around the name when it's like, who's going to do the new Star Wars picture? It's like, Ron Howard, please.
Yeah, make it Ron Howard. Yeah. So he came along, and that really crushed a lot of the hopes that I had for this film. One of the hopes that I did kind of hold out for, not strongly, but is that Lord Miller had done enough to this film to kind of give it a bit of a feeling to it.
Yeah, give it a kickstart. Yeah.
And if you filmed, 80 or 90% of the film, it's hard not to at least say that a lot of the tone will be set by that.
At least the sets, the creatures, there's not enough time to redo that.
Yeah, the production design is... Ron Howard kind of touched that at all. Before we delve into this too much, I think we should just jump right to the pertinent question here. is this movie a train wreck? Should we go around the circle?
It's not a train wreck from my perspective. It's not a train wreck.
It's not. Which, in its own sort of way, makes this the best movie I've ever seen. Because I went in with such low expectations.
I was thinking today about how I was feeling before The Last Jedi and how my head was about to fucking pop off my body with the excitement. You know, I was just so fucking ready for that movie. And Solo, we went to the premiere. We went to the Sydney premiere. It was great fun, and we had a great time. But I was like, yeah, we're seeing Solo. I mean, I'm excited. You know,
This
it's going
is
to
like
be
the only
cool. But
premiere
it
we've
wasn't
gone
like,
to.
I can't wait for this movie any longer.
You're always a bit like that.
Yeah, I can't even
I
imagine
just-
what you would have been like if you had gone to the premiere of
Yeah,
The Last
exactly.
Jedi. Like, you would have been crying.
Probably
But
would
in this one,
have
we
he
just-
probably would have peed himself.
Yeah.
Inside
But
joke.
I mean, it wasn't even until I sat down that I really comprehended. Like, oh, I'm seeing Solo, like the new Star Wars film. Like that should hold more weight.
I had to work for 8 hours setting up for the premiere of it, so
So you know exactly what
I
you're
was
watching.
I was more just relieved to sit down than to be watching a bloody Star Wars movie.
is it so?
But you didn't think it was a train wreck, though.
I also did not think it was a train wreck.
Yeah.
And from an expectations point of view, I came from, obviously we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I came from the same place as you. No interest in seeing a Han Solo film specifically.
Yeah.
Lord and Miller, awesome. But in the lead up more recently, when they finally released a trailer, I really liked everything I've seen so far. I thought everything's looked fantastic, and my only trepidation was the behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same as you guys. And one thing that we haven't talked about a lot on this podcast is how this project got commissioned. It was actually commissioned by George Lucas before he sold the company in 2012. And Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire, Return of the Jedi, a bunch of Star Wars stuff and Indiana Jones stuff, he came on board with his son. And this project's been sort of skimping, going along since then. So, in a lot of ways, I think people forget that George Lucas did this. Not saying that that's the stamp of approval.
Well, he commissioned it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that,
That's like
everyone's
saying
saying, I think a lot of people think this is Disney. This is Disney.
It is. Well,
Disney's
it is.
decision.
It is.
It is, but,
Well,
but
but George Lucas started the project.
Yeah,
like,
and we
it's
so
from his
frequently-
mind.
we
It's
so
like he brought in
frequently-
Lawrence Kasdan. I know you're smirking right now, but
I am. Yes, because
that's
but
a fact. That's a
yeah,
fact.
yeah, it is.
more to
it
the
is.
point, like obviously Lucas is a bit speechless, but Kasdan is. We so rarely don't talk about the writers, but that's so interesting that Kasdan was on this with his son. Like that's a huge part of the original trilogy. That like we haven't seen a connection that strong other than the actors in any of the new Disney stuff, really.
Yeah.
Kasdan did co-write The Force Awakens with JJ. So he's
JJ.
been involved with those two projects. I think this is his last one for Star Wars. I think he's like saying this is
He,
I'm done
he said
here.
that this was his last
Yeah.
thing. He wants to
Yeah.
make sure it's done right, which
Yeah.
kind of contributed to
Yeah.
the whole breakdown with Lord Miller because it
was his baby.
was his baby,
Yeah.
and he didn't
Yeah,
feel
he had
as though
some very
Lord Miller
strong
were.
words about them.
Yeah, he did.
So to kind of start off the actual review, I wanted to talk about something overall, and this is what I know. I said it wasn't a train wreck, but this is really
There's a
what
train wreck
let
in
me
it.
down, and it's the overall feel of this film that it feels muted to me. I felt like there should have been. I felt like it should have been punchier. I felt like it should have been. It was so close to being funny, and it felt like something that it was just about to break away from the Star Wars universe. And I felt that this movie was the weakest when it was trying to be a Star Wars film because it didn't feel like one necessarily. I don't know. I got very mixed vibes. I got a very confusing tonal kind of. It felt like a Lord and Miller film that's been just smothered by Ron Howard.
Reminded me a lot of a Marvel movie in many ways, and just trying to cater to every audience. And obviously I'm a huge Marvel fan, but their movies they have that same, this bit's the humor and this bit's the drama bit, and it kind of felt like I was following that formula a lot.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think muted. I don't know if muted's the word, but
It might not be. It's so
I
hard
kind
to
of thought this movie
describe
was a bit
this
of a
film.
thrill ride, to be honest.
yeah, but I know what you mean. I wanted more stakes. I wanted there to be more explosiveness to this. I wanted to invest more and care more. And I feel
Care
like
more, yes.
I feel like the word I like the way I want to put this sort of phrase. What my summation of this is it's Solo, a Star Wars series of vignettes. Like, this is basically like you're getting little sprinkling of stories with Han Solo. Yes, there's an overall arc, but really there's no sort of like, here's the destination. This is what we're fucking doing. I never felt that in this film. I never felt like there was a true north to it. It's like, okay, we got to do this. All right, now we're going to go do that. Okay, now here's the third thing that we're going to do. You know, and I didn't get that investment in like, what are these characters doing? What's the drama? Where they're heading? Where's the growth? I never got that from this.
See, I felt it went very naturally from, like, I do agree that it kind of rolled from bit to bit a lot, but I feel like there was a natural through line to it. Like, you were just following this character as his life led him in this direction.
He kind of just seemed to be a character that was, you know, pushed by the wind. Like, he just kind of went where he was.
So, speaking of, let's give the people what they want. Can Alden Ehrenreich act?
Fuck yeah, he can.
Because
he acted, so he did a fucking great job, man.
It was not Han Solo.
It wasn't Harrison Ford.
It wasn't Harrison Ford, but I felt like I was watching Han Solo. Like, I was watching the Han Solo origin story.
I felt like I was watching a very...
Or maybe even Han Solo's little brother or something, you know?
Yeah,
Han Solo's
but
cousin. But like, it worked enough for me, and they sold it enough for me.
Yeah, and I suppose that's all right, because when you think about it, it's kind of... There's time in between, and this is a character that's meant to morph into the Harrison Ford character. So I can forgive that. And in fact, it's almost a good thing that he didn't play Harrison Ford, because I think it made it feel a little less slavish to nostalgia and all that kind of jazz.
I don't know if this is ever going to line up to the original trilogy in any way. Even outside of just Alden's performance, but I think he did a really good job.
There were some things that kind of lined up that I really disliked that we can talk about in spoilers.
Yeah.
I don't think he did a good enough job to convert the people who are already on the train of, you know, just the rumor mill and he can't act and he's no good. I think they're going to come out of this like, yeah, he wasn't Harrison Ford, he wasn't good enough. But I really enjoyed him in this. And I thought he had the Harrison Ford pointing down pat. He did that so much.
He did,
which
and
Harrison
that was
does
good
as well. So.
The one thing that I didn't like that was actually in the trailer. It's my most hated line is, "I got kicked out of the academy for having a mind of my own."
I thought it worked a lot better in this than.
Well,
than
I thought
trailer,
that it would, and it grated. Like, I just heard it, and I was like, ugh.
Because in the trailer, it felt more like that's what they actually want us to think. In the movie, it felt to me like he's just. He's trying to make people think that. Like, he's like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked him in this.
Yeah, he really sold it for me, man. I was so impressed. Yeah. I you know, in terms of other standouts.
So you think he would be like a standout? Like, he's exceptional?
I wouldn't say exceptional, but I think where I was at and all the rumors, I think, like, fuck, man, give this guy a break. He did a fucking good job, man.
He did.
Like, he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. I think a standout for me in this is Chewie. Fucking love Chewie in this, man.
Yeah. This is easily my favorite Chewie movie.
I think this is Chewie at his best. By far.
Sorry, Peter Mayhew.
Yeah,
but the one time someone else played him.
Ooh, that's rough.
I fucking loved him in this. I think he should have maybe should have even Chewie a Star Wars story. You know, obviously that would never happen, but I was really sold on this. I loved how Han and Chewie's relationship starts. Like, it really worked, and that was the bit. To be frank, I was fucking worried about that. How did Chewie and Han meet? Fuck, I really want to know about that. Not. Honestly, I was so worried about that, and I think they fucking nailed it.
Just a slight segue, and we'll get back to the characters, but that was the funny thing about this movie for me is I forgot about Chewie until he showed up.
Yeah.
This movie was really successful for me at being its own thing. Like, every time a Star Wars thing was jammed back into it, it didn't bother me, but I was just like, oh yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're doing Han Solo's origin.
And that's what I meant by, like, it felt weakest when it was trying to go towards Star Wars.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say weak, but yeah, I like this movie on its own merit in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so Chewie was great. Obviously, the other big one to talk about is Mr. Childish Gambino, Donald Glover himself.
Killer.
He was great.
Yeah,
so fantastic. Good. That's all we'd heard about. He was him. He was going to be great. We all knew he was going to be great.
There's going to be a Lando movie now.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I really liked how they.
Or something.
Yeah, I really liked how they played off each other. I liked the character development between those two. I thought that was really well done.
He's great, and he did a performance that was slightly affected by Billy D. Williams. But still his own
He
thing.
had that little accent.
Yeah.
When they first
go
spoke, on screen, I was like,
cinema,
holy fuck, that sounds exactly like Billy D. Williams. Just that first line, I think he kind of did what Alden did. It's like a mixture of Harrison Ford and his own thing.
This is what it'll become. So
hello, what have we here?
Yeah. Yeah, I love their relationship. So their scenes, we've seen this in one of the clips, how he calls him Han. Like, I just love the banter between those characters. It's really fantastic.
Another little cool moment for me was Paul Bettany.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like...
Reshot Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
How much was he reshot?
Michael K. Williams, I believe,
was in the role initially as an alien, I think.
As an alien with robotic legs,
Yeah. I think that was a good decision. I really liked that character.
I would have liked to see what Williams would have done with it, but I think
pretty by the numbers. Maybe not for a Star Wars, but movie, but for the villain, pretty by the numbers. I felt
it wasn't a huge part of the film, but I think he was cool, and it was interesting seeing him so recently after loving him in Infinity War and thinking he was like great and funny and like really like handsome and cool, and in this he's like scary and gross.
It's interesting. He's been doing a lot of the press tour at the moment, and I've watched a bit of it, and a lot of the questions are around like, how does it feel to be in like two of the biggest films that are coming out this year? And it makes me think like, oh, that's a bit wild that not only is in these two films, but he seems drastically different in them. I don't get any vision in this. Like,
he's got range.
Yeah, and it makes me actually really appreciate him as an actor.
I completely
agree.
I
think that's why he stood out to me, is because I've just watched him as Vision, and he's kind of done a complete 180.
Speaking of actors with range, I'm sorry, that's a cheap shot. How about Emilia Clarke?
She did play Emilia Clarke
from Game of Thrones. I thought she was very good in this. For the record, I've not been impressed with her in the past, but I think she did a very
If you compare
decent
this
job
performance to like Terminator Genesis or something, it's chalk and cheese.
Which one of you hasn't seen Terminator Genesis?
I would say Terminator Genesis. Thank bloody God.
I thought she did a really good job, but towards the end, I didn't quite. I had some issues with the character.
She's a little more complex in ways that weren't necessarily clear, maybe, but
clear, or maybe even necessary, but.
I think they could have been more ballsy with the casting here, to be perfectly honest. I think Star Wars is very
ballsy?
guilty of
as in not doing the brunette
white brunette chicks. Carrie Fisher, fucking Ray, the chick from Rogue
Felicity
One,
Jones.
Jyn Erso. It's the same British brunette chick.
Yeah.
And I think they could have maybe mixed it up a little bit. I think that was a missed opportunity, but I think she did a pretty good job. Yeah, I think she did a serviceable job.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
The other characters, Thandie Newton's character and Jon Favreau, they were fine.
They're good, yeah.
I like Jon
Favreau was fun.
He was great. He was fun. His voice work was fun.
Harrelson was fine as well.
Woody Harrelson I thought was really good. I think he's looking good. He's got to be getting old. He's looking good in this movie.
It's because he's got the side,
and the flappy,
the flappy hair, yeah.
And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I assume, was L33T. Yeah,
didn't like it.
Leet, very cool.
I really did not get on board with that.
I liked her. I liked her a lot. You said you were half on board when you came out.
I know. I've been thinking
changed.
about it.
Oh, no.
I'm not on board with it.
I wasn't on board with when they first announced she was called L33T. It's a fucking stupid joke. That must have been Lord Miller though, because that was so early on. But
didn't work for me. I just found her really obnoxious and annoying and loud, like clanking around, and the vocal effect was so like loud and like piercing in my ear. I was like,
it did feel a little bit pushed, and it kind of, for me, what was the K2 or something shit like that?
K2SO,
yeah.
It was kind of like that, but on
everyone
steroids.
really enjoyed that character and loved the wittiness and all that, and I thought that they were just trying to recapture that.
Yeah,
so while
sure.
I thought it was a cool character, I was like, this feels a
very
bit
similar,
forced.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a more fun version of that, and I liked it a lot. And especially the interplay between her and Donald Glover, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, some good scenes with them.
We can get into later.
I think one of the big successes of this film, and I'm going to attribute this like 90% to Lord and Miller is the production design. I think this is one of the
gorgeous.
sexiest looking Star Wars
I
movies.
think it is the sexiest Star Wars movie.
It is fucking beautiful.
And
not
flawless
just 'cause
from a
of-
CGI perspective.
Flawless, man.
Well, there is so little of it. I can name like one fully CGI character in it that I would confidently say is fully CGI. There would seem to be so much practical stuff. Yeah.
And
It's really impressive the way that this film looks. I was actually thinking about that because there's usually in these kind of films, there's at least one scene where you're like that was someone was not paying attention to that. And this, for the most part, I think was pretty seamless.
there's only one scene that I can think of that we can talk in spoilers, but honestly,
Oh yeah, there might be at least.
I was just blown away by the camera work, the production design, the CG work, the
Yeah.
color grading. It had a very desaturated look.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And compared to Rogue One, like I just thought this just fucking destroyed Rogue One on that front.
All right, I'm going to say this right now. We're not comparing this to Rogue One because
It's better than Rogue One.
This will deteriorate so quickly. I know exactly how we are if we start trying to compare it to Rogue One. It's
better
We're
than
not-
Rogue One.
we're not-
Bad
yeah, I
day.
would say it's better than Rogue One, absolutely. Then we don't need to talk about it again.
Yeah, see? Look,
Easy.
we're fine.
See, because I'm
Upstanding gentlemen.
choosing not to engage. That's why.
Yeah, you should do that more often, Connor.
What about the score? You know, Star Wars is so... The score
Okay.
is so important.
The
What
theater
you
we
guys
were
think?
in was playing it very loudly. The score is fine.
This is an interesting score because you talked a lot about the Last Jedi score, how it brought back a lot of old themes, and this movie does a lot the same. Like it brings back a lot of old pieces of music,
Yeah.
and kind of remixes a lot of old ones into something slightly new.
It does.
And you always know when something really nostalgic is happening because they go straight to the actual
the
theme.
Yeah, we get like a. It was almost like a major version of the Imperial March or something,
Yeah.
like a positive version.
There was a quirky one as well. I don't want to spoil the actual scene where it comes up.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that was
funny.
fun. That was fun. Leave that for spoilers.
Yeah, anyway, I really like the score, honestly. This whole movie felt like kind of a lot of remixing stuff from the past, and that could so easily be obnoxious and not work for me, and I've spoken out against it before, especially with stuff like just small things in Rogue One. So I feel like a bit of a hypocrite, but I really enjoy the score and the movie as a whole like that.
We talked about this as we exited the theater, which is that this movie seems to double down on the nostalgia aspect, but for the most part, it's relevant. Nostalgia. It's not. I'm breaking my own rule. It's not like the Rogue One C-3PO in a hangar being like, "I wonder where they're going." You're like, that is so irrelevant. It has nothing to do with this story. Why is
All the
that
dudes
there?
from the cantina bar rocking up on...
don't even get me like
Jakku,
that.
not Jakku, Jeddah.
Really smarted me. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was
that's
like-
so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
so-
felt more intrinsic and integral to the story in this one. All the
Relevant
references.
to Han Solo,
Yes.
which was what this movie is. And we predicted this...
Apart from one scene, which is just...
Well, yeah. Well, we predicted this for months, saying, this is just, they're going to give us the origin of everything about Han Solo. We're going to see the dice.
Where the jacket
We're going to see
is,
the
and-
Kessel Run. We're going to see the thing. And a lot of this movie was really kind of going back to the little snippets we do know about Han Solo's past.
We didn't see any... Oh, I don't want to even spoil that. Damn it.
It worked for me.
I think it did.
So much stuff that I thought would happen and be really lame happened in this movie,
Yeah.
and I was like, this movie's kind of working for me. I don't know why.
It's weird. I was watching it. I was like, I don't
hate this.
I don't hate this.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
there's-
agonizing. I thought
and
it was
I
going to be
thought I
agonizing in
would.
spots.
Yeah, and there are one or two lines that on paper are, and I can't wait to mention them, but they almost still work for me, even those bits in the movie, which is crazy.
What are the negatives for you guys in this? Because I think the negative for me is the inconsequentialness, the fact that it feels like a series of little vignettes, and overall there isn't that, this is where we're going, this is the antagonist or whatever.
For me, it was some of the motivations of the characters didn't quite make sense. Some of them seemed a little one-dimensional or needlessly complex, I guess.
So script, I think we're right there. It's a script thing with the plot,
Kind of plot is probably there was some decisions towards the end that, like the way that the movie ended, I wasn't really happy with. Apart from that, nothing in this movie really, like, I didn't come out of being like, that's amazing, like that's really cool. And that's kind of what I meant when I said at the beginning that it felt muted. Like nothing really popped out at me and made me think, oh, fuck yes, this movie.
There was not that like moment.
Yeah.
It was like you had...
I mean, every single Star Wars movie, good, bad, or indifferent, has had a has had a moment where I've been like, fuck yeah, you have got to watch this movie just for this. Like, I mean, even Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
That last like 20 minutes of Phantom Menace is
with Darth Maul.
Fucking killer.
Yeah.
What is it in Attack of the Clones?
Yeah. Argument undone. They're rolling around.
Grievous with his fucking, I don't know.
That's movie, pal.
Yeah.
You're really stretching.
Yeah. It's them frolicking in the meadows.
It's absolutely them.
that's
It's when he's surfing on one of those big cow things and he falls off.
Do you know how long it's been since I've watched?
Yeah, just keep that length going there. Clone Wars.
Like, that's
Don't
always been
ever
very, very...
Set a new record every day.
What movie was Hello There in?
Hello there.
Yeah.
It's Revenge of the Sith, I think.
Are you sure?
When he pops up and sees Grievous.
Give this to me.
It's from the Grievous scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I was so close.
What's your negative, man?
My negative?
Or what are some of your negatives?
I was struggling to think of someone while Connor was talking. That I don't really have any. I don't disagree with what you're saying about kind of the script and the story, especially towards the end. I don't think it ends as strongly as the rest of the film, but
was there anything in that movie that you were like, fuck yes?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the action scenes I think were some of the best we've seen in the Star Wars franchise. I thought some of them were just like obviously we've seen in the trailers a train sequence, which I thought was fucking amazing. Some Falcon sequences I just thought were so well done, and I don't know who to attribute that to, effects artists or Lord and Miller or Ron Howard, but somehow all of them working together. I thought the film as a whole felt very cohesive for something that
it
had
really
three directors
did.
technically.
It really did feel so
Which
cohesive.
I guess they reshot the whole thing, so
and
that makes sense.
There was only one scene where I saw them cutting between Alden Ehrenreich, and he clearly looked different.
His hair
looks different, and of like his...
could you tell which one was the Ron Howard scene? Or
no way I could tell. But I could tell they were splicing between, and not to say that was, it could have been the same director directing the scene and they'd splice it together. But yeah, that was the only time where I felt like I saw any kind of remnants of two directors being on this film.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So did you have some negatives you want to chuck in before?
I think my negative is just the inconsequentialness.
Yeah. All right,
like the fact that it's just...
What did you guys think about the humor? Did you feel like the humor was hitting in the right spot?
It was Marvel humor, which always works for me.
Yeah.
I think Thor 2: The Dark World is hysterical. So I found this movie very funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed the humor. I don't think everything landed, but fine, yeah.
Same strike rate as a Marvel film generally.
Yeah. Should we move into spoilers?
I think it's spoiler time.
Overall?
Yeah, overall, man, I can't believe I'm saying that Han Solo is not a train wreck. I enjoyed it. Yes, I've got a few nitpicks. Am I dying to go back to the cinema right now? Not really. I'm not really. I don't know if I'm going to go.
This is a one and done for me.
I don't know if I'm going to go see Solo again. I'm not sure. But very solid Star Wars film, and it's better than half of them. It's better than the prequels. It's better than Rogue One. It's better than the Clone Wars movie. So, to be honest, I'm quite surprised that I'm. This is where I'm at.
It's like what the first time.
Enjoyed it.
First time we've gotten two good ones in a row since Star Wars and Empire.
Yeah.
Well, depending on how you feel about.
So that's very controversial, I'm sure. Yeah, first one I've gotten two good. First time I've gotten two good ones. I really, really like this movie, which is so weird to say. I had such a good time watching this, and I thought it started very strong. And 20 minutes in, I was like, because generally once I'm on board with a movie, I'm on board for the whole movie. Yeah. So I don't think the ending was as strong as the beginning, but I'm still just like, I'm really enjoying this, and I hope it kind of stays at a level that I can come out of it and proudly say I enjoyed it, and I really did.
I'll be very interested to see how I feel in a week. I feel like we were so fresh off this. I think that it's got some good moments. I think it's got some not so good moments. The ending really, the more I think about it, the more disappointed I am with the ending. I think that's really going to annoy me going forward. But way better than I expected it to be. And overall enjoyed it.
Way better than it should have been given the circumstances as well.
Yeah.